All right, and welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Baseball Podcast Patreon exclusive content. So I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and once again, it's great to have you guys here on this Friday. So I just got wrapped up with both live streams, the football podcast and the baseball podcast. Obviously, things happened today. I did not realize that my sound wasn't working. So I was in the middle of the third part of the show for the football part, and I was alerted that I had no sound, so I had to stop the live stream. And I just went back and watched my reaction to realizing I had no sound, and it was just hilarious because I was like, "Oh my god, I don't have any sound," and I was and just reading my lips too. Yeah, not my best moment, to say the least. And hopefully that doesn't happen again. So, but listen, we're still rolling. We still got to go through. I'll be recording the football Patreon content episode after this. But right now, we got baseball. So, yeah. So let's get into some baseball here. So obviously, all the series are wrapped up. I went through all of them. I'm not going to go through the scores again, of course, because that's kind of what I've been doing is just I recap what I talk about, from the show. But obviously, I'm not going to go through all the scores again. But yeah, so right now, as it currently stands, we have the Phillies against the Diamondbacks, and then we have the Astros and the Rangers. Two interesting series. I think more people are probably focused on, the Rangers and the Astros. That's the better series of the two. I think most people would agree with that. Although, listen, I apologize to these teams because, I said I think there's only going to be one upset. And I was leaning towards the Rangers being the upset just because, I really liked how they played in the first round, the lineup, and how their pitching was. I just thought, hey, they could have definitely upset the Orioles, and that's exactly what they did. They swept them. The Astros, there's no surprise why they're here. They're here every single year. But you know what? Listen, that's on the fault of the American League, because that just shows you how weak the American League is. How is it you let this team get back to the championship series 7 years in a row? That's on the teams in the American League. That just shows. And I'm not disrespecting the Astros. I'm disrespecting the American League because it's that just shows you that there's nobody that really can knock off the Astros right now. Now, obviously, the Red Sox knocked them off in 2018, but other than that, the Yankees couldn't do it. And, when the Astros lost, it was in the World Series. So, and I do think the Astros are going to go back to the World Series. I just think that's going to happen. Unfortunately, I don't want to say that, but, yeah, I think that's what's going to end up happening, unfortunately. And listen, I don't want to say it because, I give somebody else a chance maybe. But, from top to bottom, their lineup's good. The pitching is, Framber Valdez didn't really pitch well against the Twins. He's kind of been struggling a little bit as of late, I think. So, that's some concern. But Verlander, he was fine. And Christian Javier, had a good start against the Twins. So, I like them to win the series against the Rangers in 7 games. Although, listen, I think the Rangers can knock them off. I do. Because their lineup is very good from top to bottom. Nathan Eovaldi has been great in the postseason so far. And listen, although some people might look at it as a negative more so than a positive, Max Scherzer, I think, might be back in this series. So I guess, maybe he'll be motivated to go out and say, hey, I still got something left in the tank, and he goes out and pitches well. So we'll see. But, yeah, it should be a fun series. And then, listen, you got the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. I think the Diamondbacks can at least win 2 games, because they got 2 good starters, Merrill Kelly and, of course, Zach Gallen, the Cy Young candidate. for them. But the Phillies, I mean, the way Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler have been pitching in the lineup, I think it's just going to be too much for the Diamondbacks, and I think the Phillies ultimately take the series. But we'll see. I went over Corbin Carroll's stats for the postseason. I mean, he's got over 1,300 OPS for the postseason, so he's been great. So yeah, I got my cousin's dog staying here now, so we got 2 dogs. So that was just the bark that you heard that just scared me. So hopefully he doesn't bark again. So they've been actually good. They haven't barked at all. From the calamity of errors today. So but we'll see. So yeah, we got 2 dogs in the house now. But yeah, I just think back to what I was saying. I think the Phillies, they take the series. But the bigger thing here is people complaining about the playoff format. And listen, it's gotten a little bit too crazy now because you got teams making it that have barely over 80 wins making it. But you know what? Guess what? The Diamondbacks, they had 84 wins. You know what they did? They swept the 100-win Dodgers. And listen, people are saying, well, the teams, they got too long of a layoff, and that's why they're coming out flat. Well, guess what? Like I said on the live portion of the show, you had the Astros move on with no problem. Why? I don't understand. Why can't the Braves and the Dodgers? The Braves had the best record in baseball. Dodgers won 100 games. How come they couldn't do it? You know why? Because the Dodgers, their pitching wasn't good. Lance Lynn wasn't good. Clayton Kershaw gives up 6 runs in the first inning. He only got 1 out. And Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, they combined for 1 for 21? That's why you lost. You didn't lose because of the days off. Again, how come the Astros did it with no problem? The Braves, I mean, where was Ronald Acuna in this series? He didn't really do anything. The MVP, Matt Olson, didn't do anything. Where was this Braves lineup? They did nothing. Maybe it's because the Phillies own the Braves in the postseason. And listen, that's why it's called the postseason. It's after the regular season. You got 3 parts to your season. You got spring training, which gets you ready for the regular season. Then you got the regular season, which is a marathon. Because there's ebbs and flows. It's an up and down season. Although the Braves, they just were this the whole year until they fell off a cliff when they played the Phillies here in the postseason. But listen, the postseason is a different animal. And baseball's unpredictable. Who had the Diamondbacks sweeping the Dodgers? Not that many people, if any. The Phillies, listen, I gave them a very good chance to upset the Braves. Although I had the Rangers over them when I said who was most likely to least likely going to, get upset. And I did that segment on who's on upset alert. I did. Orioles were on upset alert, Braves. And look what happened. So, I mean, I really didn't think the Dodgers were going to lose, but, hey, I was wrong. I'll admit it. I have no problem admitting that. But, these teams, I mean, I don't know what the Braves are going to... You had this amazing year with the MVP of the league and Matt Olson hitting 53 home runs, right? And you didn't win. You didn't even get out of the division series. So if you're not going to win now, when are you going to win? So, but yeah, I mean, the postseason is a different animal. And you got to adjust. And these teams just didn't. The Phillies showed they were the better team when it came to the postseason. Diamondbacks, same thing with the Dodgers. And Diamondbacks are a young and up-and-coming team with good starting pitching. Dodgers, I mean, I don't want to call Clayton Kershaw washed, but he's up there in age. Lance Lynn, I could say he's kind of washed. And you got Bobby Miller. He's that's his first postseason start. That's what you were going into in the playoffs. And if your lineup doesn't hit, then you really had no chance. I mean, obviously the first game, like you really had no chance after going down 6-0. But yeah, I mean there were concerns going into these series. There were, but I mean, ultimately you gotta. If you're that team, that shouldn't matter. And unfortunately for the Dodgers and for the Braves, they just couldn't get it done. And now they're going home. Once again. Dodgers got knocked out by a division rival for the second year in a row. Braves got knocked out by a division rival, and it's the same team. Second year in a row. So yeah. I mean, I don't know what these teams are going to do. Obviously, the Dodgers, they were coming in with a team that, wasn't as loaded as years past. I mean, the injuries to the starting pitching. So we'll see what they do in the offseason. I mean, are they going to try to go and maybe, go after Ohtani? I don't know. We're just going to have to see. But yeah, I mean, the starting rotation's kind of a question mark. You wonder, is Dave Roberts done in LA? Is this it for him? It could be, because, I mean, this is now back-to-back years you're done in the first round. And listen, that COVID year, I mean, Dodger fans are like, it still counts. And yeah, it does. But guess what? There's an asterisk on it. Because that was in a 60-game season. If we play a full season, who knows who wins that year? I think you get a completely different matchup than you got in the World Series. I don't think the Rays make it to the World Series that year. I definitely don't. Dodgers maybe. But, I mean, if you're a Dodgers fan and you're hanging on that ring, honestly, that's a ring you don't want. Well, you want it, but, like, you want to have, like, a ring where you played the full season, you played the full postseason. Like, I think you'd rather have that and not have to hang your hat on that ring. Because you know what? That's the only ring you got since the last time you won a championship, which is a long time ago. So, another disappointing end for the top two teams in the National League. I mean, for the Orioles, you know what? Like, they're going to be back here. Like I said on the live portion of the show, they will be back at this point. It's not like they're completely done. But, I mean, you got some things you got to address. Starting pitching. That's the biggest thing. I mean, the first game they only scored 2 runs. I mean, they really didn't do anything against Eovaldi in Game 3. At least Game 2 they put up 8 runs. I mean, Aaron Hicks had 5 RBIs. Maybe you bring Aaron Hicks back. Aaron Hicks ended up, paying off for the Orioles. And you know what? Good for him. Good for him. Good for him. Good for Montgomery. Good for Eovaldi. Good for Chapman. Who else? Who else am I missing? I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. Those are the only ones that I could think of that come to mind. But good for them. Well, I mean, Chapman, I don't really know if I would say good for him. But good for Monty, good for Hicks. Well, Monty's now playing in the championship series. Hicks is going home. But you know what? He at least, he had a big game too. So, but yeah, I mean, looking at this, at these series, coming up, I mean, I said, Rangers, could definitely make this interesting. It's the better of the 2 series. So, Astros, gotta give them props, man. I mean, I keep saying it. 7 years in a row, they've made it to the championship series. And, they're just a machine. Once again, I mean, on the National League side, I'm going to have to disrespect the Diamondbacks some more. Even though they haven't lost a game yet in the playoffs. They haven't. But I just can't I can't pick against the Phillies. I think the Phillies are destined for it all. So I'd have to lean towards them. And then but you know what? But the Diamondbacks, I could see them, winning at least, 2 games. But we'll see. So actually, another thing I wanted to touch upon, and this is has to do with the Mets. So there's more stuff that came out with Billy Epler. So apparently, he resigned because he was getting in trouble for putting some Mets on the IL when they shouldn't have been going on the IL. And they said on the Michael Kay show that, they're not the only team that does that. There's other teams that do the same thing. Like the Phantom IL stance. So I know we talked about how, he resigned because he's well, I have to answer to you and to David Stearns, and I have no power, so why am I here? Well, there was more, layers to that. Yeah, so I just wanted to throw that in there. Also, let's talk about my team for a second, actually. So the Yankees, I guess they completed their audit, and Hal Steinbrenner said there's going to be subtle changes. Whatever. I just really don't. I don't really expect them to do a whole lot this offseason. I really don't have any faith in them anymore when it comes to that. Because, listen, you run it back with the same team. I mean, you're going to expect more. It's going to be more of the same. It just is. Because Aaron Judge getting hurt really put all the flaws of this team into focus. That we're too right-handed. We got too many aging players on this team. We need guys that can hit for average, for contact, and get more left-handed bats. But now it just seems like, there's going to be subtle changes. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I really don't have any faith, because you're bringing in this. You're keeping everybody. You're keeping Cashman. You're keeping Boone. I mean, I think of the two, I think Cashman should be gone, because I think Cashman at this point has overstayed his welcome. But I mean, I don't really expect them to do that much. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I mean, even if they bring in somebody, they have more than one issue. They don't have a real closer. The rotation's a question mark. You don't have a left fielder. You don't have the center fielder. You don't have a third baseman. I mean, it's just you don't have a catcher. It's a mess right now. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll surprise me, but I mean, they surprised me when they really didn't do anything at the trade deadline. And it's funny because I was optimistic with the Yankees going into this year. Now, not optimistic they're going to win the World Series. No, I said, listen, they're gonna win their 90-plus games. They're going to make the playoffs, and then they're going to lose to the Astros. But guess what? Because I said that, they didn't even make the playoffs. So, yeah. I think people, though, haven't really been happy with these playoffs so far. Even the Braves-Phillies series, I mean, that only went 4 games. Rangers swept, Diamondbacks swept, Astros 1-4. But I think this Rangers-Astros series is going to be back and forth. And it's going to be exciting. It really is. I mean, if we get a Verlander versus Scherzer matchup maybe in the postseason, that would be awesome. Even though Scherzer is, hasn't been very good this year. But I think it'd still be cool because they played each other in the World Series. Don't forget when he was on the Nationals. but they didn't face each other. So, because you look at all four teams. The Rangers got Eovaldi. Montgomery didn't really have a good start against the Orioles, but he was good against the Rays. Astros got Javier and Verlander and Valdez, and then the Diamondbacks, they got Gallen and Kelly, and of course the Phillies have Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, who's been great. So you want to talk about whose stock has gone up? Aaron Nola, because how he's pitching in the postseason, there are going to be teams that are going to be lining up to try to sign him. Although, I'd be a little hesitant just because, in the regular season, he's like such a mixed bag. But the postseason, he's great. He's been great so far. And we'll see how they do in this series against the Diamondbacks. Because, the Diamondbacks, like I just said, they got good pitching too. So each team has good starting pitching. I'd probably favor the Astros starting pitching over the Rangers just because the Rangers are dealing with injuries right now. Could you imagine, you have DeGrom and Scherzer in this series right now with Eovaldi? That'd be a great 1-2. That'd be a top 3 rotation right there. But right now Eovaldi's the lead guy and Scherzer's kind of struggling, so that's not really the case. DeGrom being hurt, obviously. But yeah, and the lineups are all solid. I don't know. I'd probably put the Rangers. How would I rank the lineups? I'd probably put the Diamondbacks last. Man, it's tough. I might put the Astros lineup third. And then I'd put the Rangers or Phillies. You know what? I give the Phillies a slight edge. And then I'd put the Rangers at 2, Astros at 3, and the Diamondbacks at 4. Rotation-wise, I put the Rangers last. Astros, I'd probably put at 1. No, I'm going to put the Phillies at 1. Astros 2, Diamondbacks 3. Because, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola have just been unbelievable in this postseason. Yeah, but I don't know. That's how I would rank it right now. But, Rangers, you got Eovaldi, and then, Montgomery just didn't pitch well. So, and they're trying to piece it together with some of the injuries they're dealing with. So, but yeah, I can't believe we're in the championship series already. Only a couple more weeks and the season's over. Then we start talking about the offseason and, trades and free agents. So, it's gonna be a wild time. I just hope that both series are good. I really do. At the end of the day, that's really what I want. Obviously, like the Astros won last year, so it's like, if they win again, whatever. But kind of hope it's either the Phillies or the Rangers that win it. Even if imagine the Diamondbacks won. Diamondbacks just win the World Series. It would be the same thing as like when the Nationals won in 2019. It was like, where did that come from? That would have the same kind of vibe. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, that would be wild. That really would be. But yeah, I don't really know what else to talk about. Obviously, I have the football Patreon coming up after this. So I'll be recording that. But yeah, we got the both championship series this weekend. So they both start. I think, do they both start on Saturday? Oh no, they don't start on Saturday. No, the so this is the schedule. So the Rangers and Astros game one that starts on Sunday on Fox. Then game two is on Monday, and then the Phillies Diamondbacks are on after that. So game one for the Rangers and the Astros on 8:15 p.m. Eastern time on Fox. Then it's on at 4:37 p.m. Eastern time on Fox or FS1. And then the Diamondbacks and Phillies, they're on at 8:07 p.m. Eastern time. That's game one on TBS. Then game two is on for the championship series in the National League. That's on Tuesday. Game three for the championship series in the American League is on Wednesday. Both games are on Thursday. Both games are on Friday, if necessary. Game five for the National League side of things is on Saturday, if necessary. Game six for the championship series in the American League is on Sunday, if necessary. And then game six for the National League is next Monday, if necessary. Game seven of the championship series in the American League is on Monday as well, if necessary. And then game seven next Tuesday, National League Championship Series, if necessary. So that's, I mean, if you have the MLB at Bat app, it's on there as well. But yeah, that's the playoff schedule for the championship series. And yeah, so Astros and Rangers, they get us started on Sunday night. Verlander will get the start. Should be a good game. The Rangers right now, I don't think they have a starter listed. I would guess, I don't know. Who is it going to be? Would it be Montgomery? Or maybe Andrew Heaney? I don't know. Maybe they might do that, Andrew Heaney, and then have Dunning pitch after that. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But, yeah, so I hope everybody enjoys the games. Like I said, I'll be recording shortly after this the football Patreon, because we had, like I said, a lot of things happened today. And then, and yeah, but, you know, I got, all the past shows are up on YouTube. So in case you missed any of them, they are up there as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes from me today, when we're talking about the baseball side of things. So, once again, the show is going to be moving forward just every Friday now from 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time to 1:45 p.m. Eastern Time, and then obviously the Patreon will be recorded shortly after that, and that's how that will be moving forward. And then, of course, the football podcast will continue to be Mondays through Fridays, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Time, with the Patreon being recorded shortly after that. Obviously, I'm not anticipating that I won't have sound next time, so we should be okay. But yeah, that's basically it. Moving forward. But again, it was nice talking about baseball today as we we advance in the postseason here, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. So obviously, like I said, Sunday, Astros and Rangers get us started, game one, and then game one of the National League Championship Series will take place on Monday. So yeah, and then we'll be off and running. So with that is once again, that is all the time that we have for today. I thank you guys for watching, for tuning in. Like I said, I'm going to go record now the football Patreon now. But yeah, make sure to like all our videos, subscribe, and leave a comment. Try to get to all of them. And yeah, so until next time, I'm Kenneth Gruenfelder signing off from the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the weekend. And I will see you guys next Friday talking about baseball. But I'll see you guys Monday for the GSMC Football Podcast. So take care. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you then.